Get ready for some explosive action with this week's special mission spotlight of the GI Joe Classified FRAG-VIPERs. We're breaking down all the incredible sculpt details, comparing the Classified to the original, and showing off some awesome display ideas. Plus, we answer the question, is the cybernetically enhanced face a cool upgrade or creepy misfire? All this and more in this week's spotlight. Let's go. Today, we're checking out one of the most explosive additions to the Classified line, the FRAG-VIPER. Back in the 80s, he was the grenade-tossing terror of the battlefield, and now he's back with a Classified class upgrade. To be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of this guy back in the day, even though I did have two of him, but I have to say, the devs made me a believer. Perhaps it's because of the unique detailing, the incredible sculpt, or the new cybernetic lore, or perhaps a combination, but the Classified FRAG-VIPER totally delivers as a worthy addition to the late 80s legion of Cobra Vipers. Lock and load, because this guy's going to blow you away. And here he is, the FRAG-VIPER, the elite grenade launching specialist of the Cobra ranks, decked out in his perfectly camouflaged orange and blue color scheme, which was indicative of this late 80s era of GI Joe, along with some other notable mentions like the Alley Viper, Heat Viper, and Annihilator. Now that I think of it, there were a lot of orange Cobra units running around in 1989. But you know what? I'm totally here for it. These upgraded Vipers just work for me with that Predator-esque bug-like mask, the interplay between blue and orange, and yes, even that cold, emotionless cybernetic face, which is 100% what Cobra would have done at this point in the series, especially after the bats. I'll even go as far as to say that these are the first Cobra troopers that give me the chills and would definitely freak the Joes out in battle, and perhaps even their own Cobra units that they might have been embedded with. Looking at the FRAG-VIPER in this pose, it's easy to see how cool this figure could be in your collection. Again, like I said, I wasn't a fan back when I was a kid at all. But this figure actually looks menacing and leans way into the more sci-fi elements of GI Joe, which can actually be a good thing. As much as I love the more authentic military-looking figures and vehicles in my later adult years, I did truly enjoy and grow up with this era of GI Joe, and at this point in my life, I feel there's room for both. As we'll see in the comparison section a bit later, the classified version of the FRAG-VIPERs are way more detailed than the originals, and strategically so, making the design look a lot more fleshed out. Lots of great details and molded in design features, especially around the upper body, and really appreciate the extra bit of brown around the arms and chest, which look great against the blue and orange, but which also gives it a bit more realism along with the ribbed collar. But the real standout feature is that head sculpt, and man does he look freaky. It looks ugly, soulless, and dead, but that's entirely the point. And adding in those cybernetic lines takes away any shred of humanity these guys may have had left. There's no anger, fear, or hate in there, just emptiness. And once you put that highly detailed mask on, knowing what lies beneath it, you end up with a truly fear-invoking Cobra trooper. And the figure is only half of the story, because the weapons he comes with are as iconic as this updated character is. There are some characters that have truly unique weapons. Heavy Duty and Metalhead immediately come to mind, but a Viper with a curved launcher that is fed grenades from his backpack, which are then thrown at his enemies as if he's playing scoop ball, well, that just takes the cake. I really like the blade looking feel to the scoop portion of the weapon and all the details of the system, especially that spine-like feeder it attaches to, as well as the small machine gun embedded into the handle. And making sure all systems feed up into the cybernetically enhanced Viper's helmet, a secondary tube that also attaches to the backpack. Now imagine a platoon of these alien-looking Vipers running into battle as they launch these deadly grenades at you. I know I wouldn't want to be standing in their way. To add to this figure's plain display features, you get one grenade charger trailed by some smoke, which can attach to one of two holes representing different points along its trajectory. The main launcher hose fits snugly into the side of the backpack, which is embedded with 9 visible but no removable grenades, with more likely stacked inside. Even the back portion of the FRAG-VIPER's helmet has some nice detailing, as does the balaclava, nicely running out the great design of this figure. And just a quick look at the sash, I don't know why, but I really like it on this guy with that silver Cobra symbol. As for posability, he bounces well on his knees like most figures of this scale do at this point, but looks extra awesome this way given the method he uses to launch those grenades. This will definitely be one of my preferred ways of displaying at least one of our two FRAG-VIPERs. So, my final take on the classified FRAG-VIPER, it might not be one of my favorite out of all our classified collection, but it's definitely a must-have based on the perfect mix of design, lore, and nostalgia. My originals that I couldn't believe I found, still intact and with all their pieces, including the guns which I forgot at my parents' place. And what a kick seeing these two next to each other, with the classified version being a clear homage to the original, color, accessories, detailing, and all. While there are a few differences, particularly around the detailing of the chest and some added coloring, everything is there. The mask, the sash with a silver Cobra symbol, and the 2 blue holsters. But yeah, it's the mask that really stands out and immediately identifies these figures as being cut from the same mold, with my preference definitely being the slightly updated classified one. I think the addition of the harness and some belts and the extra brown and darker blue tone for the straps most definitely elevate the classified figure. It's amazing how closely they capture the features of the original helmet, subject to a few minor changes, even keeping the same color scheme and design cues. And that back of helmet detailing I called out earlier, it was even there on the original figure. I also like the additions and molding around the legs and the 2 holsters in blue. Random thought, I think these guys will pair really well with the first wave of Cobra mole rats once we open them. All the main elements of the original weapon and backpack are replicated well. You did get 3 removable regular looking grenades with the original though, but I think the stylized classified update is a fair replacement. It was great that you could tab the grenades in on the original backpack though. The new grenades have a bit more of a charge versus grenade feel as well. The claw looks exactly as it should, even including the small machine gun on the arm guard, something I never noticed until now. Good way to keep the frag vipers in battle even after they've run out of grenades. I do love when I can show you guys the classified versions of the figures I'm spotlighting versus my originals, and this one was particularly fun as I truly believe that my originals had fallen apart and that I'd never be able to find their weapons. That's the bonus of doing these comparisons. I get to break out my old toys and get them back in working order, gear and all. Alright, let's get right into the display section with some really fun action shots which I actually had a ton of fun putting together. Again, starting with my favorite, which is of the FRAG-VIPERs having just been brought into the battlefield by the HISS tank and let loose. I could eventually see these guys forming a unit with the Toxo-Vipers, I know, another love it or hate it type figure, and the Mole Rats, though imagine how cool that would look if that unit suddenly appeared out of the mist and haze of a toxic battlefield. Using just the sandbags that came with the Cobra modular fortification, which I reviewed, link here and below, as well as a HISS tank, makes for a nice, simple but impactful display. Another really exciting action-packed display is this one of the FRAG-VIPERs running alongside the Cobra Stinger and HISS, all launching their grenades and missiles, causing complete chaos and taking charge of the battle. I could totally see this one being an awesome panel of a comic book. I really want the Heat Viper, and of course the Night Viper, to complete the 89 Viper list, but I always in my mind paired the Frag, Alley, and Range Vipers together as a kid. This grouping totally takes me back to that time, finding these figures on the store pegs and bringing them home to create my epic battles. I guess you could say that these were my Vipers, the ones I grew up with at the height of my collecting and playing phase, so they hold a special place in my heart. If you guys have similar feelings to certain of your toys, GI Joe or otherwise, we'd all love to hear about them in the comments section. As this is a special missions episode, i.e. a bit more streamlined, let's end with one more display idea, but this time using the FRAG-VIPERs right in the thick of things, taking on some Joe vehicles as the Joes try to bust our way through the Cobra defenses. I used an explosive effect here from our Transformers collection on the hood of the Vamp, which held the launched grenade in place perfectly. If you weren't that hot on the FRAG-VIPER, hopefully I've given you a bit of incentive to get these guys and make it part of your collection. Lots of versatility with them, and they look great with the 89 and onward era of the GI Joe Classified lineup, just like they did back in the day. We'll end with a quick look at the packaging, and I love that they went all in with showing the cybernetic head sculpt as a selling point. Very cool side art, looks otherworldly. If you take a closer look, he's holding the charge in his hand, which is a nice artistic touch. Even though the back showcases the real figures, it really does look like a cartoon scene, which I like. Really highlights the more sci-fi feel as compared to other more military authentic back panels we've seen. So that brings us to the close of this week's incendiary spotlight. Hope you enjoyed this take on the FRAG-VIPER and I've inspired you to go out and make some awesome displays. If you made it this far, please make sure to subscribe so you can be a part of this awesome community we're developing over here and never miss a review. Until next time, remember, it's all such heroic nonsense in the end.
Transform!